A Republican election official in Arizona, who has been the target of conspiracy theorists thanks to the temporarily embarrassed governor of the state, loser Carrie Lake, shut down a conservative on social media, claiming evidence of voter fraud. Ooh. Maricopa County Recorder Stephen Richer clapped back at Aubrey Savella, who identifies as a field representative for the right-wing nonprofit Turning Point Action. Yes, part of TPUSA, and I don't mean toilet paper. Although they are full of crap. That said, this representative questioned mail-in voting in Arizona ahead of the state's primaries next month. She, in fact, took to X, where she shared a photo of 2 mail-in ballots along with 2 early voting packets, saying that this is her evidence of fraud. Quote, Maricopa County at its finest. My first ever voting in a presidential preference election, and I received not 1, but 2 mail-in ballots. Thank you, Stephen Richer. Oh, you see that? Oh my God. She got him. How do you explain getting 2 ballots? Oh my God. Voter fraud. Except it's actually not. Turns out it was her fault. Richer immediately responded by pointing out that the woman in question recently updated the address on her voter registration. Quote, because early ballots must go out on February 21, your Chandler ballot was already set to go out, and so it did. Meaning, even if you sent it back, it wouldn't proceed to signature verification, and it wouldn't be opened. That's how we prevent people from voting twice, he explained. So, just use the one with your new address on it. That's the only one that will work. Hope this helps. Have a great night. Happy voting. And that's how you shut down bullshit. Okay?
Bullshit.
That's it. That's it. Voter fraud claim demolished in several lines. All he had to do was just explain how it actually works. Not only did he explain the facts, but also made her look like a complete and utter idiot. That's the best part. Okay?
Stupid.
See, that's the thing. A lot of these voter fraud allegations, I should say the vast majority of them, are born simply from ignorance of how the process works. Okay? I mean, hey, it's not up to average people to know exactly how the entire process works. All right? So I get that. Sure. Now, you combine that, though, the ignorance of the process, with distrust in the system. Thanks to, I don't know, certain right-wing politicians and media figures that have been sowing this distrust of the system on purpose for attention, for clicks. These are the people that understand how it do work, how it actually does work, right? At least in, I think, some cases. But they count on the ignorance of their followers and listeners in order to spread conspiracy theories. Why? Well, for one, it's meant to enrage them, right? So rage gets clicks, rage gets votes, turns people out. You know, these our elections are under attack, so it's more important than ever that you get out to the polls. Okay. Now, they've also used that as a way to try to disenfranchise Democrats, black voters specifically. We're going to have to do all these things, these extra measures, and when it comes to voting, to make it harder for black people, essentially. And now they're not open and honest with the with the disenfranchisement of black people, Democrats, students, and even older people. But that's their ultimate goal. Okay, and that goal has gone back all the way since black people actually had earned the right to vote, had won the right to vote. And so it's not a surprise that that's one of the main things that they use in order to try to stay in power, disenfranchisement. Now, that said, Richer, getting to how things are now today, he has been faced with threats against his life thanks to right-wing conspiracy theories about the elections in Maricopa County. Okay? And it's not just in Maricopa County, it's not just in Arizona, it's actually everywhere. Election workers are being threatened all over the country. Let me give you some examples here. In November, somebody sent at least 4 fentanyl-laced envelopes to election workers election offices in 5 different states, which delayed the counting of ballots in California, Georgia, Oregon, Nevada, and Washington. In 2022, a losing Republican candidate in New Mexico pleaded guilty to hiring 2 men who shot at election officials after they refused to overturn the results. In 2023, a Texas man was sentenced to 2 years in federal prison for posting a Craigslist message calling on patriots to murder election officials in Georgia. Quote, "One good loyal patriot deer hunter in camo and a rifle can send a very clear message," the man wrote, according to prosecutors. In 2023, an Ohio man pleaded guilty to leaving threatening voicemail messages at the Arizona Secretary of State's office, warning, quote, "You will pay with your life for not producing the election results that you wanted." An Iowa man was sentenced to more than 2 years in prison for threatening Arizona election officials, telling them that they were going to be hanged for not producing the election result he wanted. An Indiana man called a local Michigan elections worker and threatened that, quote, 10 million patriots would surround him and kill him in 2020. A Massachusetts man pleaded guilty in 2023 to sending a bomb threat to an Arizona election worker, demanding that she resign. A New Hampshire woman pleaded guilty in 2023 to sending multiple threatening communications to a Michigan election official, including graphic photographs of a bloody, mutilated woman's body, along with photos of the official's child. So that's disturbing. And again, happening all over as a result of conspiracy theories, right-wing politicians. These threats have caused a lot of experienced election officials to resign for fear of their lives. Now, the irony in that is that it creates the exact conditions for more problems to happen at the polls. Less experienced people are just more prone to making mistakes. It happens, right? Now, those mistakes, though, feed into more conspiracy theories because suddenly those mistakes are mistakes. And then they start to view them as being on purpose, being part of a plot to disenfranchise them, or to steal an election for an opponent. And so you can see how this gets out of hand, this vicious cycle. And of course, as I mentioned, it all started with Republicans pushing voter fraud as a narrative to try to disenfranchise Democrats. But, in the past, I should say decade, it's gotten worse, much, much worse, especially since 2016. Look, Trump didn't invent this voter fraud narrative, but he used it, amplified it, ramped it up to an extreme degree. And now, unfortunately, we're seeing the results